Hello, today we will look at the different plate boundaries and different characteristics of each plate boundary. The first one is the divergent plate boundary. This is where the plates are literally spreading apart, and this is where new crust is formed from the magma uprisings from the asthenosphere. So as we can see in the bottom left image, magma is coming up from the asthenosphere, forcing these two different plates to move in opposite directions, and this creates new crust. And this is usually in oceanic regions, and the crust cools because the magma comes in contact with water and creates crust. And this is very high heat fluxes, which is from hydrothermal quote-unquote vents, and they emit hot water and nutrients. And a real-life example you can see here, the Rift Valley is a feature of this divergent plate boundary that is not in an ocean. And this is two different plates. We can see the Eurasia plate and the North American plate. The second one is the convergent plate boundary, and this is where plates are literally crashing together, quote-unquote. And the denser of these two plates subducts under the other. And this creates a lot of tsunami generation because we can see here this displaces a lot of water when these two go under, which obviously creates tsunami and large waves. Volcanoes are also most frequently found at this type of plate boundary, and where the plate dips under, this is called the subduction zone, and that is where the volcanoes are most frequently found. And we can see right here in this image in the bottom right, this is an example of a convergent plate boundary. Lastly, we have the transform plate boundary, which is where the plates literally slide past each other laterally. This creates a lot of seismic activity, and in this one, different from the first two, no lithosphere is either created or destroyed. And the pretty much very famous example that most people know of is the San Andreas Fault, picture bottom right, and that is on the coast of California and in that region, and it's where they slide past each other, and this creates a lot of shallow earthquakes in the area, which is why you might know earthquake activity to be known to be on the west coast of United States. So now looking at where divergent plate boundaries can be found, the first one, divergent, we can see that it is most commonly found in oceans, and kind of in the Atlantic and Pacific. There's a large one down right in the middle of the Atlantic, and a feature of these is the mid-ocean ridges, which we can see bottom right picture, and this is the creating the protrusion of Earth's crust in the middle of the ocean, and this is just kind of a feature. So the second one, convergent plate boundaries can be found. So the most frequent location for these type of plate boundaries is the Pacific Ocean and near the Oceania continent, so kind of in this Philippines and Sunda area, as we can see this text here. And one thing very interesting is that Mount Everest is formed by a convergent plate boundary. Lastly, the transform plate boundary can be found on the ocean floor. And most notable transform boundary is San Andreas Fault. So as we can see, it is not only on the ocean floor, but it can be. And bottom right, we see that this is a evidence of transform plate boundary in California.